There are stories so disturbing that entire cultures only whisper them after dark. Creatures that were never meant to be written down, only remembered. And tonight, we're diving into the ones that will make you double-check the shadows in your room. So before we begin, if you enjoy deep dives into terrifying myths, urban legends, and creatures that probably shouldn't exist, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It's free. It helps the channel more than you think. And honestly, if one of these creatures shows up tonight, at least you'll know you were warned. Now, let's begin. The Kalupalik's southern cousin, the water mother of the bayou, deep in the swamps of Louisiana. Long before modern roads cut through the marshlands, Cajun fishermen told stories of something that lived beneath the cypress roots. They called her La Femme Verte, the Green Woman. At first glance, she appears as a woman standing waist-deep in the foggy water. Long black hair clings to her face. She hums softly, almost like a lullaby drifting across the swamp. Children were warned, if you hear singing from the water at night, don't answer it. Because when the fog parts, you'll see her true form. Her skin is slick and moss-covered. Her fingers are webbed. Her eyes are pale and lidless, like a fish pulled from the depths. And when she smiles, her jaw stretches too wide, revealing rows of needle-thin teeth. She doesn't chase, she waits. And when a child steps too close to the water's edge, she grabs them with shocking speed and disappears beneath the surface without a splash. Some stories say she drowns them instantly. Others say she keeps them alive in underwater caverns, draining their youth the way a mosquito drains blood. As the child weakens, she grows stronger. Hunters once tried to kill her. Bullets passed through her like mist. But one old fisherman claimed there was a trick. He said these swamp spirits are vain. If you challenge her to prove she's more powerful than a gator or a catfish, she might shapeshift to demonstrate her strength. And once she takes the form of something mortal, she can bleed. Whether that story is true or not, children in southern Louisiana still don't swim alone. The Red Platform Ghost, inspired by a true Japanese legend. Urban legends don't always stay in one country. Some of them travel. There's a version of a story that spread through U.S. military bases in Japan during the 1980s, told by American teenagers who swore they saw something on late-night train platforms. It begins with a girl. She wasn't bullied for long. One prank, one mistake, one misstep. She fell onto the tracks as the train roared closer. They said she screamed for help. They said no one moved. When the train passed, she was cut clean in half. But death wasn't immediate. She crawled, dragging herself across the platform, leaving a trail of blood, crying for someone to help her. No one did. Now imagine you're waiting for a train at night. The station is quiet, too quiet. You hear a scraping sound, not footsteps. Scraping, slow, wet, dragging. You look down the platform and you see her, no legs, only a torso. Long black hair covering her face. She moves fast, faster than something without legs should ever move. Her fingernails claw across the concrete with a screech that echoes through the empty station. Some say she asks one question, "Where are my legs?" And if you answer wrong, she makes you match her. Even American tourists in Japan have reported hearing something scraping behind them on empty platforms. So if you ever travel abroad and feel something dragging just out of sight, don't turn around. The Choctaw Shadow Walker, Nalushka's Whisper. In the southeastern United States, among the woodlands once inhabited by the Choctaw people, elders told stories of a being made not of flesh, but of shadow. Its name translates roughly to long black presence. It doesn't roar, it doesn't growl, it stands. Imagine walking through the forest at dusk. The insects are buzzing, leaves rustle, frogs croak in distant water. And then suddenly, everything stops. No wind, no insects, no sound at all. That's when you know it's watching. Witnesses described a tall, impossibly thin figure standing between trees, its limbs too long. its face smooth and blank, like a mannequin carved from darkness. It doesn't move when you look at it, but when you blink, it's closer. Two brothers once ignored their father's warning and entered a forbidden stretch of woods. They saw something standing in a lake, motionless. When they looked away for a second, it was gone. They ran, but every tree they passed, the figure stood behind it, watching. One brother made it out of the forest, the other didn't. Search parties found no body, just silence. Some locals say if you wander into certain southern forests at night, you might feel like you're being followed. You are. If you're still watching at this point, you're braver than most. Drop a comment and tell me which creature you'd least want to encounter. I read more comments than you think, and sometimes your suggestions become the next nightmare. Now let's get worse. The corpse eater of abandoned churches across rural America, especially in forgotten Midwestern towns. There are abandoned churches that haven't held services in decades, and some urban explorers claim they've smelled something inside, rot, but no visible body. In Japanese Buddhism, there's a creature called a jikininki, a spirit cursed to feed on corpses. But American folklore has its own variation. They say corrupt preachers, those who exploited their communities for greed, sometimes don't pass on peacefully. Instead, they return hungry, not for souls, for flesh. These creatures look almost human. Sunken eyes, grayish skin, yellow teeth stained from decay. They hide in basements of old churches or graveyards where funerals once took place. They don't kill. They wait for the dead. Funeral homes in small towns have reported strange disturbances. Caskets found slightly open, bodies shifted. One rural pastor claimed he saw a figure kneeling beside a coffin at night, weeping and apologizing as it fed. The creepiest part, some say if you encounter one and pray over it, truly pray, it might beg you to free it from its curse. But if you hesitate, it won't hesitate back. The one-footed lure, the Appalachian seductress. In the Appalachian Mountains, hunters tell a warning that sounds almost comical at first. If you see a beautiful woman alone in the woods at night, run. She may appear injured, lost, crying, her voice sweet and desperate. But when you follow her deeper into the trees, the forest grows quiet. And when she turns around, you notice she's standing on one hoof. Her eyes bulge. Her mouth widens into something animal-like. Her face shifts into something wrong, very wrong. She reveals her true form only when you're too far from help. Men who vanished in the mountains were often last seen chasing something they shouldn't have. The moral: if someone unbelievably attractive appears in the middle of nowhere at 2A.M., it's probably not your lucky day. The two-hearted child. In Slavic legend, a strigoi is born different, but in certain Appalachian immigrant communities, similar stories emerged. A child born with two heartbeats, two rows of teeth. They grow normally at first, but strange signs appear. They sleepwalk, animals avoid them, and they never grow body hair. When discovered, they're often cast out, but the horror begins after death. Because they don't have one soul, they have two. When they die, one passes on, the other wakes up. Their body reanimates. Their eyes glow faintly in the dark, and they begin to hunt, especially the people who rejected them. Travelers in wooded backroads have reported large owl-like shapes diving at them from the dark. Talons sharp enough to tear skin. Some believe those aren't animals. They're something that used to be human. So here's the real question. Which of these creatures scares you the most? The one in the water? The one on the platform? The one in the woods? Or the one that might be hiding in a building you drive past every day? If you made it this far, hit that like button so I know you survived. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into terrifying myths and legends from around the world. And comment which creature you want to see in Part 5. Because trust me, we've only scratched the surface. And somewhere out there in the dark, between stories and reality, something is listening. Until next time, stay out of the water.